Hello, this will be a public service announcement video on the reasons why you should not cut trails when you're hiking. On this PSA, I will be going over the effects of cutting a trail, the reasons you shouldn't do it, the damage that it can cause on trails, the reason trails are designed the way they're designed, not straight up mountains, and the potential harm of cutting a trail. My first point is that hiking is not about speed, it's about enjoying nature. When you're out hiking on a trail, your goal is not to be the fastest person up the mountain. At least it shouldn't be. If you're out there and you feel the need to be the first one up the mountain, then you need to reassess your priorities. Even professional runners don't cut trails. They would get disqualified from pretty much any race that they're running in if they had to cut the trail, because the races are set for a specific length. And if you're going on a hike and someone tells you that there's a really good view on one spot, you have the potential of missing that by just taking one or two shortcuts. Not only is cutting the trail ruining your experience, it's also hurting the environment and the nature around you. The second point I want to talk about is the negative effects on nature and the foliage around the trail when you cut the trail. While one person cutting a trail isn't going to necessarily cause any direct harm, and it might seem like something not to be that worried about, when enough people cut a trail, something called a social trail is created. Social trails are just like natural trails, but instead of following the natural curves and bends of the environment they're in, they usually take the quickest path, which is usually straight up a mountain. These social paths can cause so much more damage than just trampling a few plants. In the long run, they can create a type of soil that is completely inhospitable to any new plant life, which can damage the environment for years and years to come. And this might not sound like the biggest problem still, but just think of how it can escalate when you get so many of these social trails running all over a mountain, and how bad that would be for the vegetation. Not only is cutting the trail bad for the vegetation, it's also really bad for the pre-existing trail. Trails are designed a specific way, and cutting the trail really hurts that design. Most trails that you'll find out in the wild have switchbacks all the way up a mountain. It can feel like the trail is taking you on 3 times the amount of hike that you need to go on, and if you're someone who's relatively fit, you might have the idea just to cut the trail, go straight up the mountain, and save yourself a good amount of time. But those switchbacks aren't there just to slow you down. They're there as a way to help prevent erosion on the mountain. The best natural erosion prevention is just having plants on the mountain. But when you put a trail on the mountain, you're naturally killing that original form of erosion prevention. So by making the trails go alongside the mountain instead of straight up, it helps prevent with erosion. If everyone creates social trails that run straight up a mountain, the water and dirt and snow from seasons will run down that social trail, and it'll completely wash it out. And it won't only just wash out the social trail, it'll wash out 1 to 2 feet onto the original trail, which just makes everyone's life harder. The pre-designated trails don't have that same problem. They might get some standing puddles, but they're never going to completely erode because they're designed in a way that takes into account the natural erosion of the area. The fourth reason that you shouldn't cut trails is there is so much more unnecessary danger when you go off the beaten path. Even though it seems like you're still on a designated trail, you're not when you're taking a social trail. You're technically hiking in an area that is not designed for hiking, which has so many more unnecessary risks than hiking already has. When you go outside and go for a hike, you're putting yourself at a certain set of risks for things like sprained ankles, bug bites, animal encounters, dehydration, overheating, freezing. All of these things can happen while you're on the designated trail. But going off of the designated trail raises your chance for injury in some of these ways. There's more debris on the ground is less stable. If you get hurt, it's going to be harder for someone to potentially find you because you're not on the designated trail. You're just somewhere off of it. And overall, it's just not worth the unnecessary risks that hiking off the trail can have. The final conclusion for this PSA is just to remember that there is no rush. When you're hiking, just be out there to enjoy your day. Take some photos, talk to a friend, eat a good snack, just enjoy it. Think of it as a nice, relaxing way to get some simple exercise in and maybe see a new view that you haven't seen before.